What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Lamont's Gym and Custom Knives Show, the number 3 podcast. I had every intention on this morning to give you a breakdown of some of the statewide elections in Alabama, some of the national elections in Louisiana and Kentucky, and briefly, I am going to touch on some of that for about 2 or 3 minutes. But something else that I saw that got my attention that I'm going to dedicate, these little few minutes this morning talking on. But first, let me say, they say primaries and local elections, you have really low turnout. And I saw that firsthand yesterday. Now, I know I finished up with my business probably around 10, 11, and got to the polls around 11:30. So I know it was lunchtime, people at work. I know all this. But, listen, older people normally vote when the polls open at 7, from 7 to 9. That's when the older people, in your 70s and 80s get there. You have people who go on a lunch break and go vote, go to their polling place and vote, And I think that's the crowd I was in yesterday. It was probably about 30 people there. Then people who get off work, 3, 4, and 5, then they finish out the day. I understand all that. But when now I follow some local elections simply because I got some friends who was running. Um, in the Coleman County and Calhoun County sheriff races. I could be wrong because I haven't looked at the final tally of numbers. But when they was pretty much wrapping up and calling a lot of these elections, at the time it was only like now this is not statewide. This is county based. I want to say it was less than 5,000 people who voted in each election for sheriff. 5,000, less than 5,000. Because I know the winner of that Hearst cat in Calhoun County, I think he got 20 something hundred odd. I want to say 2,600, 2,700 votes for the primary. Friend of mine, Derek Collins, he ended up getting about 300, 400, and it was a third of Poland. He ended up getting about 300 or 400. So I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Hearst will end up being sheriff. He will be voted in as sheriff come November. But I don't want to hear anybody complaining. If something happens, and when we need the sheriff department, county corrections or whatever, I don't want to hear anybody complaining because you didn't exercise vote. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off this topic. If I'm not mistaken, the last census had Calhoun County around 70,000 maybe people in the county, and when it comes to voting for your primary sheriff, and listen, I don't know a lot of these other races, especially statewide races where the numbers fell. But I do know in this, you got 70,000 people in the county, and only less than 5,000 people actually chose a Republican primary candidate. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely nuts. But listen, it is what it is. The topic I wanted to hit on this morning, and I'm gonna spend a few minutes on it. If you go back 2 or 3 days, I did something on. I can't remember what the podcast was on, but I ended up by saying that some YNs had destroyed a Chipotle in Washington D.C. and had some rigmarole going on in some schools or whatever. I did not know until last night, this morning, as I'm watching the election results, that in Washington D.C., Florida, Illinois, California, New York, and maybe 4 or 5 more states, and probably more than that. I can't remember. You had what they call teen takeovers in large cities. I didn't know about it. I only knew about the Chipotle being tore up in Washington D.C. and, like I said, the other little one or two things that happened. I want y'all to think about this. Graduation is this week. School gonna be letting out. You know, these kids who the last month of the school year had time to cause destruction and fighting and just doing a whole bunch of crazy crap. What do you think they're gonna be doing this summer? For some reason, my algorithm on Twitter takes me to these fights, and I'm like, is it important for me to see these kids just fighting? It's mostly females, but you see males in there too, you know, throwing chairs and fighting and, you know, burning up stuff. And I'm like, what is going to happen come June, July, going into August? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. My nose is tickling. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. I apologize for that. I'm back. In a place like New York, Chicago, Atlanta, I'm not sure where it happened in Florida, but, you know, I guess it really doesn't matter. When you have thousands upon thousands of teens causing havoc, you're honestly at a point that what do you do? These are juveniles. You know, the parents need to be punished, but where are the parents? Listen, I've raised three children. 2 of them are adults. 1 of them is 16. I've never had any trouble like that out of them joining a group to cause havoc. Never. I just don't understand it. I've never known any of their friends. Well, I take that back. I've never known any of my. Well, I do know of some of their friends who, you know, not on a mass scale cause havoc, but they did do some bad things. And I said, Kenyon, I said, Dominique, y'all get away from that. You don't want to be implicated in something that they did. Get away from it. But I never had any trouble out of them two. I damn sure ain't gonna have no trouble out of my youngest because, you know, she's a little prissy girl. You know, she wants to dress up and do makeup and eat and do that type of thing. I hope and pray I don't have any trouble. I don't see it. I don't see it in the future for her. She has more of a business sense. Her and her mom is running 2 businesses right now, and she has a regular job. So I guess my point to that is, listen, I've worked in the juvenile system before. But, you know, these are isolated incidents where kid had, you know, dope possession, or, you know, he did something stupid here. Or this child was in foster care, did something crazy here. But these kids are doing this on a mass scale. Going downtown, going into restaurants, riding, fighting. I just don't see any remedy for it. You'll be called a devil if you call up the National Guard or have a heavy police force, but what else do you do? The parents ain't gonna do crap, and these pulpit pimps, unless it's some white cop beating a black kid or something, they ain't gonna do nothing to say nothing. I don't know, man. That's a conversation that we need to have on a couple of platforms. I've seen them having this conversation. I want to have that conversation. I don't see it happening here in the state of Alabama, maybe in Mobile, possibly Montgomery, maybe Birmingham. I just don't see that happening here. You're going to have it in these bigger left-leaning cities. Now, Birmingham and Montgomery, these are left-leaning cities, but you're going to have it in these left-leaning states plus left-leaning cities. And you know, in Florida and Texas, I know they're left-leaning states, but you go Austin and these places, you're gonna have a bigger left-leaning cities who's gonna allow this, and we just can't. Anyway, I want to have that conversation. You guys hit me up. I've been getting a lot of comments on Rumble, but I think it's mostly bots. I don't want bots responding to my material. I want human beings responding, especially on Twitter. Y'all get this conversation out there. Have a conversation with me. My name is the Conversationalist on Twitter. Let's have this conversation. Let's try and get these kids under control. You and I, let's do it together. And we're not going to do it for likes and clicks. We're going to do it because I'm a father. I know you guys are parents, and we need to help these children, man. We really need to. They don't need to be in the streets fussing and fighting and all that mess. But anyway, you enjoy your day. God bless you. I love you. And as always, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you guys stay blessed. And I'll see you next time.